that we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers. Containers of? Containers. Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want, but we're containers, and that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers. The soul. Meaning, well, the souls or the bodies or whatever. That's meaning like we're containers for souls that they're going to use at some other point. Right.
They came from off of this planet and interbred with humans. They are reptilian. They continue to run the planet. Are our world leaders, and nobody at this current time who is a government leader is there running the countries unless they were put there by them or they are one of them. They are at a time, a very important time right now, when they are working with some new energies on this planet that they don't work well with. You have something so great. You have this wonderful spirit, and it needs to be nurtured, and you need to know it. You need to know yourselves.
Contenedores para almas. Ya Bob Lazar, en sus primeras intervenciones, dijo que había visto en el Área 51, donde él trabajaba, documentos donde ponía que los aliens nos consideraban contenedores para almas o para algo especial, que incluso habían creado las religiones para tener esa esencia o ese alma o esa energía especial controlada. Y según él, esto lo ponía documento clasificado en una base secreta militar que era el Área 51, según él expuso. Aunque después no se ha hablado mucho más de esto, pero esa información está ahí. Y ya Arizona Wilder dijo hace unos 20 años o 20 y tantos años que teníamos algo muy especial dentro de nosotros y que había unas energías que estaban despertando en este planeta o en esta realidad, que estos controladores o estos seres o estos Illuminati que trabajan para estos seres no podían controlar. A nosotros nos ha llegado este tipo de información que dice que efectivamente ellos temen ese despertar o esa activación o esa expansión de la conciencia, como nosotros la llamamos álmica o como cada uno la entienda o la llame. ¿Sería ese nuestro auténtico arma o lo que realmente tenemos que hacer para poder frenar y acabar con el control de estas entidades y del nuevo orden mundial que se nos echa encima? Pues según nuestra opinión, seguramente sí. ¿Por qué este interés ahora, después de 20 años o 20 y tantos años, sobre las comunicaciones o exposiciones de Arizona Wilder y de otro tipo de gente que expuso estas informaciones? Primero, como ya hemos dicho en otras ocasiones, porque han pasado muchos años y es verdad que esta información es ahora conocida a nivel mundial, pero tampoco ha cambiado nada. El nuevo orden mundial, o este tipo de invasión alien o arconte o las agendas aliens o como se quiera entender, han seguido avanzando y ahora estamos llegando al punto de no retorno, donde si esto sigue pues será casi imposible o muy difícil deshacerlo, pero todavía estamos a tiempo si la humanidad toma conciencia, la humanidad y otro tipo de seres que puede ser que haya en este supuesto planeta o en esta realidad, toman conciencia y pasan a la acción, porque como decimos muchas veces, la información está muy bien y la divulgación está muy bien y es una parte parte muy importante, pero llegó el momento de la acción. Ya lo hemos comentado en muchos sitios, Salvador Freixedo lo dijo, defendámonos de los dioses, Arizona Wilder, testimonios que están ahí y que prácticamente con salvedades y matices todos vienen a decir lo mismo, que hay una especie de seres o razas o entidades interdimensionales, también físicas, que han creado linajes, que han creado híbridos, que lo siguen haciendo, que controlan esta humanidad, que lo controlan todo, que son seres hiperdimensionales, transdimensionales o interdimensionales, como cada uno lo entienda o lo vea, y que mayormente lo que se dedican es a parasitar o fagotizar o intentar controlar y obtener energía cultivando por medio de engaños y de manipulaciones mentales, físicas y energéticas a esta especie que llamamos la humanidad. Y dentro de esta realidad existirían otro tipo de especies a las que también parasitan, cultivan o predan energéticamente y biológicamente. ¿Y de dónde viene este interés después de tantos años por estas informaciones, aunque ya son sabidas y son del saber, podríamos decir, popular dentro de estos temas? Como ya he comentado muchas veces, gran parte de la información que manejamos viene de lo que llamo sintonización álmica, que es ese acceso o esa capacidad a ese tipo de informaciones contenida en ese tipo de energía o en esa esencia que llamamos álmica, o ya como cada uno lo quiere entender, que en principio contiene toda la información. De alguna manera podemos ser capaces de sintonizar con ese tipo de frecuencias y obtener esa información que no tiene nada que ver o es parecido, pero no es lo mismo, a los llamados registros acásicos. Pero no es lo mismo porque nosotros consideramos que los registros acásicos, como se entiende, realmente serían un egregor y estarían parasitados. Sería en principio lo que deberían ser esos registros. Con motivo de una entrevista o una colaboración con una amiga nuestra, salió el tema contactar, que también limpia implantes, ve este tipo de entidades y tiene mucha información. Por eso empecé a ver información de esta persona y vi que decía cosas muy parecidas a lo que yo suelo exponer y que he publicado, que como he comentado, esta información mayormente viene de la sintonización álmica. Entonces me llamó mucho la atención y estuve investigando y vi que mucha de esa información venía de Arizona Wilder, que bueno, el que quiera saber quién es, pues es muy conocida, pero puede buscarlo en internet. Era una antigua ex Illuminati o controlada mentalmente por estos grupos, que hacía de sacerdotisa y había tenido desde la infancia abusos rituales y la utilizaban como psíquica y como canal para en estos rituales contactar con estas entidades. Cuando murió su controlador mental directo, tuvo ahí una oportunidad de salir de ese control mental que padecía y empezó a recordar y empezó poco a poco a salir de ese mundo y de ese control y decidió exponerlo. Entonces son muy conocidas las entrevistas que hizo en su día. Como he comentado, creo que la última fue hace unos 20 años, 20 y tantos años, y que yo sepa no se ha vuelto a saber nada de ella. Su historia es muy larga y muy compleja de explicar, quien quiera averiguarlo pues puede investigarlo, pero lo que me interesa es el tipo de información que dio. Aunque yo la conocía, no la había investigado en profundidad. Y a raíz de todo esto que comento, la he estado investigando y resulta que muchas de las cosas, no todas, pero muchas de las que dice, son parecidas a las mismas que yo expongo, pero obtenidas de forma diferente, según ella, por participar directamente en este tipo de rituales y por mi parte, por acceso a este tipo de información álmica que he comentado. Pues como por ejemplo que los que están por encima de estos subgrupos de control son una especie de seres híbridos druídicos, cómo se manejan este tipo de entidades, cómo parasitan, el tipo de rituales que hacen y tal. El tema está que en sus primeras entrevistas probablemente todavía seguía controlada de alguna manera, que poco a poco se estaba liberando de este control. Y ya en las posteriores, que tampoco que se hayan encontrado muchas más, ya parece que estaba más liberada de este control y ella intentaba rehacer o hacer su vida normal. Y era muy interesante este tipo de información porque uno de los cargos que ella tenía dentro de estos rituales era, como llamaban, diosa madre, y otro era estrella estelar o fuego estelar, que sería Istar. Hemos comentado muchas veces Istar, este tipo de entidad que realmente ha tenido muchos nombres durante todas las civilizaciones, ha tenido diferentes tipos de nombres, siempre está presente en los rituales o en las catástrofes o en las cosas que van sucediendo, como hemos venido exponiendo a lo largo del canal. Y está muy relacionada con apariciones marianas, con apariciones de ovnis, con el mundo intraterreno y tal. Entonces me remito a toda la información que hay en el canal para ir viendo la evolución de estas investigaciones. No solo eso, sino que ella dice que colaboraba con un grupo de estos supuestos Illuminatis que se llamaba Jano. Como habréis visto en uno de los vídeos del canal, estuvimos en Cantabria investigando junto con Santiago Martínez los ovnis que aparecían en esa zona, que eran justo al lado del Pico Jano. El Pico Jano tiene forma de pirámide y algunos piensan que dentro hay una pirámide. Incluso allí hay ruinas romanas, seguramente hay una gran cantidad de energía telúrica, y durante cientos de años se han producido batallas y es un sitio donde siempre ha habido apariciones extrañas. Jano, recordemos que es un dios que está considerado también el dios del tiempo y se puede representar con 2 cabezas y hasta con 3 cabezas, igual que Baal, que sería Moloch, que sería Saturno, que es Cronos, que es representado comiéndose a su propio hijo, que simboliza los rituales de sacrificios donde devoran niños. Y vemos que todo está al final relacionado, tanto Ishtar como Moloch, como Jano, como la aparición de ovnis, como estos sacrificios rituales que hacen, y encontramos que una información de hace 20 años o 20 y tantos años de repente se nos reaparece y está relacionado con todo lo que estamos investigando actualmente y con lo que está sucediendo actualmente de imposición de este nuevo orden mundial arcóntico. Porque, como siempre decimos, realmente todo estaría relacionado y al final todo tiene un propósito y va sucediendo por algo. Todo está relacionado con este tipo de puntos energéticos, con estos sacrificios rituales, con esta aparición de entidades y de ovnis y con estas bases subterráneas y mundo intraterreno interferido. Y hay mucha gente que habla de esto y así lo atestigua.
He was the master of the hunts. Now you think, okay, it was fox hunting. Yeah, when they could do fox hunting. Not only that, they would also do human hunting. They would also do the human hunts, hunting children, that type of thing. And as I said, there was a bear pit in Whitchurch. They would have the children in cages, the bear cages as it were, and then release them, and then the hunt would chase these children to terrify them. It was all part of the sport. But as if you can imagine a bear pit, there's cages built into the building, as it were. So yes, so abuse happened there. There was a kind of altar table in the middle of this bear pit, where a lot of abuse happened. That sacrifices happened there. They used that table, stone table, in the middle of this bear pit. And they used to keep the children that were going to be up for abuse or sacrifice in the cages where the bears would have been. Obviously, there's no bears now. I remember the church. They used the church a lot for a lot of rituals, that type of thing. They would use the altar, the font, because it was stone font like any other English church, and they used a stone font to put the blood into, to do the initiating people into the cult or something. They drink from it, that type of thing. So it's almost like a mock Christian ceremony, only sadistic and satanic. You could call it satanic, but that's what they do with the blood and put it into the font. To initiate people into the group, that type of thing. The altar is used again for sacrificing children, that type, mainly children or young virgins, very, very deep into the ground. So I have been in the gold mines. I have also been in the tunnels. The military were also involved in these type of activities, as far as I know, because from my experience, these tunnels had military personnel. These tunnels were military, because there are military tunnels, there are civilian tunnels, everywhere. They were also supplying children for every sort of group, satanic group around the country, around the world, and they were supplying children for that. Now, they also supplied adrenochrome, which was usually in a little vial. If people ask, well, how do they get this all around? How do you get all these children around? Well, these tunnels they had they had a very high-speed train system that went underground. It was magnetic. It was a magnetic kind of engine type thing. And these tunnels, as I said, these high-speed train systems, all I can describe is magnetic, would go across the country, like in 5 minutes or something. These trains, these magnetic train things, would go through tunnels under the water. They could lift up out of the sky, into the sky, because they couldn't always go on land, or they'd have to fly up above the ocean. They would just take over the human. But I do know my natural father shapeshifted into a reptilian as well, because his mother, my grandmother, saw a lizard man coming out of the river.
A single occasion, I was in the main corridor at the base, and coming out of the room, along the main corridor was this very large creature, very tall, well over 6 foot, being accompanied by 2 men in suits, which I took to be NSA operatives. They're the only ones who don't wear badges in the place. I just stopped in my tracks, very, very shaken. I mean, it's a very powerful looking being, very difficult to describe, just very, very tall, very well built, very strong, well over, as I say, well over 6 foot. It must have towered at least a foot over my head. A greeny, browny, mottled type of skin. I tried to take in as many details as possible, but as I say, it literally caught me unawares. I was really put into shock. Didn't know what the hell it was. It was just casually walking along the main corridor with the 2 operatives. Got a very strong sense of evil, but it was inferred by others at the time that was one of the reptile species. Strongly inferred that, yeah, that was a reptilian. You don't want to mess with that. And it was just left at that. There may well be reptilian races, but it's just as easy for the military to have actually made this thing. Well, again, you've seen drawings that people have done over the years of supposed reptilians, Draco, whatever the names are given. It lizard-like. I mean, it literally is like a very tall, very big, exactly the same like the normal, if you could call them that, PGs. I mean, they're there for military abductions. And there's an aura of mystery over the reptilians. They're the dangerous ones. They're the ones who are in charge. They're just continuing that. Yeah.
I've remembered seeing various types of entities. One type is what I call chalky-colored creatures. These are the ones who performed the medical experiments on me. They are between 4 and 5 feet tall. They have big black almond-shaped eyes, no whites, no pupils. They have 4 fingers. I don't remember what their feet look like. I don't recall ever seeing any ears, no hair, 2 little holes for a nose. They move so gracefully, extremely gracefully, and they talk. They communicate telepathically through the eyes. I have also seen a creature that I call the reptilian. I remember encountering that creature only one time. It was a rape encounter. This creature was the ugliest creature I could ever imagine seeing. He had scaly skin and long claws. His head reminded me of a snake's head in its shape. He had long pointed ears. He was probably around 5.5 feet tall. Had kind of tan or brownish skin, and it looked like protrusions, sort of, in up here in the chest area. Then I've encountered another entity, a real short entity, about as high as the knees of a man, and the reason I compare it to the knees of a man is that I saw him accompanying a man in green fatigues. This particular entity had rounded eyes, and I don't remember him communicating in any way, in any form or fashion. I remember there was some kind of an unreal quality about him. I can't put my finger on it really, but something very strange, very odd about this creature.
I saw strange animal types of creatures in cages. Possibly this is a continuation of Nazi super race projects, genetic creations, because I know one of the sub-projects of Mannequin I was involved in was called the Tigris program. Yeah. And in that they were taking modified animal DNA and injecting it into remote viewers, genetically enhanced espionage agents. From my understanding, that's actually a front. This mind control operation, kidnapping children. This was in the middle of 1981 when I was taken in there. I was 5 years old. Yeah. Basically, the gates opened. We drove in. We drove along. We drove down an underground road. So basically, these bloodlines are naturally psychic. Again, right, because they're trying to dampen down everyone's psychic abilities. They bring the New World Order in.
Entonces, después de todas estas informaciones, de todas estas décadas de información y de toda esta expansión supuestamente de conciencia, ¿qué es lo que ha sucedido? Estos grupos, estas entidades y esta interferencia arconte, esta imposición del nuevo orden mundial ha seguido hacia adelante. Lo vimos en el 2001, lo vimos en el 2020 y probablemente lo veamos ahora, y en el 2030 supuestamente será el culmen y de ahí hacia adelante. ¿Se puede parar esto? Si en estos 20 años o 20 y tantos años o en estos cientos de años no se ha parado, quizá deberíamos hacer honor al trabajo que han hecho muchos, tanto de este país como de otros países y de otras épocas, e intentar parar esto de una vez. Como he comentado muchas veces, esto requiere esa expansión de conciencia, que ahí es donde entra la confusión, porque todo el mundo piensa que tiene razón y que su forma es la mejor y la correcta. Como siempre comento, que cada uno haga lo que crea que tiene que hacer y actúe en consecuencia, pero sin acción no hay resultado. Desde mi punto de vista, lo que hay que hacer, como digo siempre, es utilizar esa energía interna, esa expansión, ánima, alma, esencia, chispa primordial, o como lo entienda o vea cada uno, pero sabiendo lo que está haciendo y haciéndolo de forma real. Y eso requiere un trabajo, una conciencia, una voluntad y una intención, que no paramos de decirlo constantemente. Exponer y expandir información está muy bien, pero sin acción la información se pierde. Y aunque parezca que esto pues no podría servir directamente, si estamos hablando, y probablemente tengamos razón, de que todo está orquestado desde otros planos y que todo esto está controlado por entidades y por inteligencias artificiales de otros planos, de otras dimensiones, de otras realidades, o como lo entienda o vea cada uno, pues quizás tengamos que trabajar a esos niveles para cortar esa cabeza de la serpiente o esa cadena de control. Y todas estas informaciones que hemos recibido durante estas décadas nos sirvan para tener una base en la que trabajar. Y como digo y repito, sin acción no hay resultado. Así que llegó el momento de la acción y seguimos trabajando.
And what I have to say about that at this time is that there were a lot of other things that happened besides rituals. There was programming at bases. They used military bases because they won't have any interference when they have someone on a military base. And a lot of my programming took place on military bases. And I would like to talk about that. I would like to talk about the fact that there are rituals done at the military bases also, and that rituals are not a cover for mind control programming, as some survivors have been saying publicly lately. The people that do the mind control are involved, and rituals are very much a part of how they do things. For example, naval intelligence members or people that are in naval intelligence are usually very involved with Ordo Templi Orientis. And that doesn't mean that everyone in naval intelligence is involved in that. But naval intelligence is responsible for a lot of overseeing of ritual activity in this country. Okay, the next thing that I realized that was coming up with this for some reason were dolphins. And a lot of survivors have spoken about dolphins in their experience and being taught to communicate with dolphins, and this was done on military bases, and this is what happened to me also, that this was coming from a military base, and I still hadn't put it together. So I knew that there were dolphins, I knew that they were gray, and in that way I realized that there was a connection to Alice. Okay, what I realized and what I've discovered over the years is this is in particular pertains to Area 51. At Area 51, there are a lot of dealings with alien extraterrestrial life, and also on Area 51 on this base, which is underground. It's extensive underground system and levels, about 14 levels. They not only deal with extraterrestrials, but in order to hide what they are doing and hide the fact that we have a very advanced technology, that there are a lot of these craft, flying saucers, that they are actually engineering and putting out. We have that much of an advanced technology. It is not coming, all of it, from aliens, but it settles, or it suits them just fine for us to think that it's all alien technology. We have the technology, and we've had it for a long time, and it's far more advanced than you realize. The grays that I saw there on the base were under human control. The reason that they were under human control is because they were manufactured. They were called cybers, P-S-I-B-E-R-S. That's what they were referred to as cybers. And the cybers were manufactured with the help of genetic material from dolphins. They have the ability to communicate at a psychic level with other subjects because dolphins are renowned and known for having this ability due to scalar waves. That is what these cybers have. They are now, since being manufactured, they are cloned out. They're under control of human beings. They're not always perfect in what they do or how they perform. They are able to be in these spacecraft. I believe that it has been the experience of a number of abductees or a number of people that have come in contact with grays, that these are the grays that they're coming in contact with. And I saw them there. Something else that I've seen in the underground bases are a lot of experimentation using different animals, using different alien life form, and using human beings trying to manufacture something that is pretty mutated. And a lot of what I saw there did not live very long because they were failure experiments. And when, due to them not living very long, they were experimented on. There were live vivisections being done. And there was no medication being used for pain. So one of the things that I did there, since I was trained to have the psychic capabilities, and I'm not the only one that was used in this way, there were a lot of others used in this way. was to be there present while they were cutting up one of their mutations, a living creature, and trying to psychically prevent this creature or these creatures from feeling pain. Something else that I would like to bring out is there were rituals going on at these bases. There were rituals that involved alien beings and human beings, and it was going on there all the time. This is an alien, this is an example of one that I saw there on the base. This was not a manufactured creature. This was an extraterrestrial on the base. These in particular were not very nice. And they were usually accompanied by military. But these were something that I saw there. They didn't seem to like to be here. Okay, now this I included because what they were also programming in at these bases, this was an example of not just Greek letters, which were used in programming, but Ogham alphabet. And Ogham is used in the cult, and it is Druidic. This was being done on the bases. And a lot of it was learning how, through stimulation, to use your fingers, because fingers and hands are used in communicating Ogham. And this is responsible for what has been, it's part of what is called hand signaling. And different people have talked about being hand signaled. Ogham is used for that purpose. So they were doing these ritual things there. And unfortunately, you can't see the writing at the bottom. Well, it's hard to see it. Down there it says, I have no age, I span the ages. And this was something that came out in 1989. It was the start of some of these drawings. This was a part of me that I called Keeper, and he was the keeper of the flame. And the flame being Illuminati flame. This was another one dealing with deity Astra. And I didn't know anyone else that was even drawing anything like this. And Ashtoreth is an ancient deity. It goes back to Babylon. And you note that the eyes are blue, but the pupils are slit. I have this in a lot of the drawings. And there is blood on this one because this one consumes human blood. It was about the Great Earth Mother, and I had never heard of it when it came up. When it came up in my memory, I never heard of the Great Earth Mother. I didn't know what the Great Earth Mother was. I understand it to be now. There is a Vesica Pisces there, which is very important. It represents creation. It represents creation from the cosmos, and this represents the Earth Mother and the moon that travels around the Earth 13 times in a year. So this has to do with that. Again, created on a military base. Okay, this was another one that came out. It was about the child and the mother and the crone, the triple goddess. Again, via our wonderful military bases. Okay, this one is Phoenician. It's Archangel Michael, who was Tazmikikau, who is battling the dragon. And the wings, I mean, this one was later to become Archangel Michael. The wings are down on the legs. Right there. And then the fire is between them, and that has become the Illuminati flame. That was a symbol for fire. The Phoenicians knew of the dragons, they knew of the reptilians, and their work depicted them quite a lot. The intercessor, who is a priest, that guy right there, is pleading to Indara, who became Saint Michael. That guy right there, for the life of the man about to be sacrificed to the dragon. That one right there. And the symbol above the man signifies death. And the goat signifies the solar deity. Again, Illuminati symbolism.